Here was Scott Bessent talking about Wall Street and how they botched all this tariff stuff. Tariffs are coming in. Actually, there was a surplus, we think, last month, according to some reports. Here was Scott Bessent.
But I wouldn't put too much emphasis on one number. I think it's the trend. And I think one thing that Wall Street, a lot of economists, market in general got wrong early on was that tariffs were going to cause a substantial price level rise, which just hasn't happened.
No.
But I wouldn't.
No, and they were screaming about that. Oh, it's going to be $27 for a stack of eggs. Okay, give me a break. And it never happened. So Mike Johnson was also out this morning, and here is what he said. He was asked some questions just minutes ago, and here's what he said.
Some questions. America First is no longer an agenda. It is now the law of the land. And that's what the people voted on last November to deliver, and we did it in less than half a year. Take a few questions. Front row.
First of all, Speaker Benny Messina would have been great. So regarding yesterday's Supreme Court order on the Education Department, you've previously been asked whether Congress will assert its constitutional authority and pass legislation.
It was a Supreme Court question from yesterday. We covered it.
By Congress. When exactly does that moment arrive? Does the president having, quote, ultimate authority over the Education Department, as was Secretary McMahon's interpretation of the order, not conflict with Congress's legal and constitutional power? At what point does this become a separation of powers conflict?
It may not surprise you. I haven't had a chance to digest the Supreme Court opinion from yesterday, whenever it was.
You didn't watch our show?
Been a little busy, but we'll look into that. I'm a constitutional law attorney. I'm a jealous guardian of Article I authority, but I also know that for decades, the Department of Education, since its creation, the Department of Education wielded by the executive branch. I think that was the intent of Congress as I understood it back then. We have a large say in that, but we're going to coordinate that with the White House, where I'm not going to get as a vision on how to reform education at the federal level. Secretary McMahon has done an extraordinary job thus far, and we're going to follow their cues on how to do that. If we see that the separation of powers is being breached in some way, we'll act, but I haven't seen that yet.
Speaker, your office has told me the holdup on Congress taking up disaster aid for California is that you're waiting for the White House to send an official request. The president has indicated no interest in doing so, in part because of his tiff beef with Gavin Newsom, whatever you want to call it. Will you commit to including California in any disaster aid package passed out of the House, whether it be Texas, the Carolinas, regardless of the president's feelings about California?
First of all, we wouldn't know how much to commit because there's a process that this goes through. The White House and every administration and every previous Congress, the White House takes the request of the state. After the calculations have been done, the assessments, there's a multi-step process to this. They take that, they send the request to Congress, and then Congress it goes through regular order and acts upon the request. We just haven't had that in California yet for whatever reason. Gavin Newsom seems to enjoy trying to stick his thumb in the eye of the White House and the Congress, which seems to be kind of purpose if he is requesting relief. Look, we're going to do the right thing at the end of the day. We'll take care of the American people. We'll take care of our federal responsibilities, but we've not seen the calculation nor the formal request yet, and I'm going to act upon it until we do.
The request was sent to your office in February.
I would get the request from the White House and the executive branch. That's how this works. We're going to follow the rules.
Mr. Speaker, what's the consternation among House Republicans about possible changes to the decisions bill in the Senate, and what that would be like in terms of timing as you're up against this deadline on Friday?
Yeah, the Friday deadline looms. We're encouraging our Senate partners over there to get the job done and to pass it as is. That's what we did. It reflects the intention and the view of the House. This, in our view, was low-hanging fruit. This rescission package is, you're talking about funding for USAID, the egregious abuses that the Doge analysis and audits uncovered. We've got to
off that, Mike.
American people, everybody demands that. We can't fund transgender operas in Peru with U.S. taxpayer dollars, right? So,
operas?
The NPR and PBS components this is, in our view, the misuse of taxpayer dollars. The biased reporting, they're not objective. They pretend to be so. They have for a long time. And the people don't need to fund that. We're in an age of, you all know, you work in the industry. Media is so multifaceted now. There's so many avenues and areas for information. And while at its origination, NPR and PBS might have made some sense, and maybe it does now, but it shouldn't be subsidized by taxpayers. So these are simple questions to answer for us. The House has acted appropriately, and I hope the Senate will do the same. I've urged them, as I always do, to please keep the unamended because we have a narrow margin and we got to pass it. But we're going to process whatever they send us whenever they send us, and I'm hopeful that it'll be soon.
What's this say about the mission if you're unable, though, to pass those things? The idea that Republicans talk about cutting the spending, and if there's a conflict, you can't get it done through that deadline?
I don't accept defeat, Chad, so we'll see what happens.
Security Chair Mark Green will be leaving on the 20th. Have you talked to any of the contenders, and how much do you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, I've talked to all of them, and we have an embarrassment of riches in the House Republican Conference. We have very highly qualified people who are willing to step up. They're all highly respected among their peers. It'll be quite a horse race there, and I'm not going to put my thumb on the scale and try to influence that one way or the other. We have a process here. We respect the process, and that we have a steering committee that's composed of leaders and representatives from across the conference, and they'll hear the presentations of the candidates, and then they'll make the due decision. But it's going to be a tough race because there's some tough people, great men who step forward, and we'll see how it shakes out.
All right, so Mike Johnson out there this morning talking, and a lot of it is procedural congressional stuff.